Joe Rogan is one of the most recognizable personalities in the UFC. And after nearly 3 decades with the promotion, he's made up his mind on who is the greatest of all time. Out of just the sheer longevity and the accomplishments, I say Jon Jones is the greatest, Rogan said. He has been a world champion for 14 years. That is unheard of. Jones is an undeniable talent, but his career hasn't been without controversy. From arrests for DUI, assault, domestic violence, firearm offenses, hit-and-run incidents, and more, he's had his share of legal troubles. More relevant to his GOAT status, though, he's also tested positive for PEDs on multiple occasions. For some, like longtime rival Daniel Cormier, that alone disqualifies him from the GOAT conversation. For others, including Rogan, the numbers speak for themselves. And Jones's stats, as of early 2025, are simply staggering. Aside from a disputed disqualification loss to Matt Hamill in 2009, he has never been beaten inside the cage. At 23, Jones became the youngest champion in UFC history when he stepped in on short notice to fight for the light heavyweight title. He went on to defend the belt 11 times across 2 reigns and never lost the belt in a fight. After a 3-year layoff, he returned to submit Ciryl Gane at UFC 285 to capture the vacant heavyweight title, which he then defended in dominant fashion against Stipe Miocic at UFC 309 to solidify his legacy. But that's not all. Jones also holds UFC records for the most wins in title fights at 16, the most successful title defenses with 12, he's been in the most title fights with 17, and he holds the longest unbeaten streak at a mind-boggling 20. So why does Rogan think he might not be the GOAT? The problem with that is, who did he fight versus who did Georges St-Pierre fight? Who did Khabib Nurmagomedov fight versus who did Georges St-Pierre fight? Who did Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson fight? Who did Anderson Silva fight? It's a fair argument, and the names he listed all have their own GOAT credentials. St-Pierre in particular also won titles in 2 divisions and defended the welterweight belt 9 times in one of the deepest talent pools the UFC has ever known. While GSP only beat a handful of previous and future champions, that was largely because he ruled the division for so long. There weren't many others out there. Khabib Nurmagomedov set the record for the most UFC lightweight title defenses, and he's the only champion in history to vacate a belt and retire with an undefeated record. While he did effectively clean out the best of the best in his division, and his 3 defenses came against former dual division champion Conor McGregor and interim champs Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier, those are the only 3 defenses Khabib ever made. Compare that to Demetrius Johnson, who Rogan described as the best expression of martial arts talent and technique that he's ever seen. Mighty Mouse has the most consecutive title defenses in UFC history, with 11 straight defenses of the flyweight title. Even Jones's longest defense streak was only 8. However, Johnson only ever beat one future UFC champion, Henry Cejudo, largely because DJ was the inaugural flyweight champion and held the belt until his final fight with the promotion, which was his rematch with Cejudo. It makes comparing that stat to Jones's tough. And finally, Rogan asked who Anderson Silva fought. And Silva fought some of the greatest legends MMA has ever known during his record-setting longest championship reign in UFC history. Amongst his 10 successive title defenses, he finished Rich Franklin twice, and Dan Henderson, Vitor Belfort, and Forrest Griffin, all of whom held a UFC and/or Pride title at one stage or another. But not even Silva can hold a candle to the wins Jones compiled over past, current, and future champions. In his first 5 title fights, Jones beat Shogun Rua, Lyoto Machida, Vitor Belfort, Rashad Evans, and Rampage Jackson, all of whom were former light heavyweight champions. No one had beaten that many former champions, let alone in a row, and he was just getting started. He later added victories over Glover Teixeira and Daniel Cormier, both of whom became light heavyweight champions in Jones's absence. Then, as mentioned earlier, he moved up to heavyweight to beat the former interim champion Cyril Gane, and then the division's undisputed GOAT, Stipe Miocic. If longevity and level of competition define the GOAT, and you're willing to overlook PED offenses, then Jones's resume is unmatched, and he's your obvious candidate. Manel Kape put on a dominant performance in the main event of UFC Fight Night 253, and he might have earned a title fight in the process. But Asu Almabayev wasn't the only one who wasn't convinced by the third-round TKO. For 2 rounds, Kape's explosiveness left Almabayev battered and bloodied. In the third round, though, Almabayev received multiple eye pokes that were all discounted by the referee, which allowed Kape to swarm for the finish and the obvious call-out. After this fight, there is no excuse for not giving me the title, Kape said at the post-fight presser. I truly believe in the flyweight division needs a champion like me. I can build this division and bring respect like other divisions. I am the only man that can do this. The flyweight belt currently belongs to Alexandre Pantoja, who already holds a decision win over Kape. He's currently without a dance partner, but he has the floor, and Kape will just have to wait and see if he gets picked next. Despite the controversy, Kape walked away with a $50,000 performance bonus, as did Mario Pinto for his second-round knockout. Nasrat Haqparast and Esteban Rubovics earned Fight of the Night honors after their thrilling split-decision battle. Meanwhile, excitement machine Dan Hooker has had to withdraw from this weekend's UFC 313 co-main event against the human highlight reel Justin Gaethje. The Hangman suffered a serious hand injury that has forced him to get surgery. Hooker fractured his hand in training just days before the highest profile fight of his career. But his spirits are still high, and he took to Instagram to say that he'll be right back. While Hooker is out, Gaethje will remain on the UFC 313 card, and he will face Rafael Fiziev in the rematch of their UFC 286 war in 2023, in which Gaethje edged out Fiziev by majority decision. Staying with UFC 313, the light heavyweight champion Alex Pereira is set for his 4th title defense in the main event, but he's looking to raise the stakes even higher. The Brazilian has issued a bold wager to his opponent Magomed Ankalaev, but it's not just about money. Since you are so confident you will win, $200,000 to the winner's charity of choice, Alex tweeted. Win or lose, this will help those in need. It's in your hands, Ali Abdelaziz and Magomed Ankalaev. Pereira later expanded on his bet, clarifying that his share would go to children in need. Ankalaev, who nearly won the vacant light heavyweight belt when he fought to a controversial draw against Jan Blachowicz in 2022, has now responded, and it's hard to argue against. As a Muslim, you know betting is forbidden in Islam, and also as a Muslim, every year I have to give 2.5% of my wealth to charity. This is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, tweeted Ankalaev. Many kids around the world are in need, and we can do things after the fight, but we don't have to publicize it.
Thanks for watching, and remember, if you want more fight sports in your life, just hit the subscribe button.